Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming today and taking the time to attend this session. This webinar is designed for you and how this course can help building your skills and your teams. Today, we have gathered professionals interested in road mapping for strategic alignment from all over the world, so thank you all for attending. Before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping points. The session will run for around 45 minutes, including the time for Q&A at the end. Please feel free to use the Q&A function throughout the session. We are recording this session, so we will share the recording and the slides with you afterwards. And finally, do stay with us until the end, because we'll be sharing some exciting offerings and discounts. At the end of the webinar, please take a couple of moments to complete a short survey where you can raise any further questions or feedback. We would like you to leave today informed, excited, and with complete insight into what your road mapping learning experience will be. So these are our agenda points for today. Introduce you to the University of Cambridge Online, give you an overview of the course, road mapping in practice, who are IFM Engage, how can you partner with us, and answer any questions you may have. Now, I would like to introduce today's panel. First of all is Dr. Phaal, Director of Research, Strategic Technology and Innovation Management at the University of Cambridge, and Dr. Imoh Ilevbare, Principal in Strategic Technology and Innovation Management at IFM Engage. And this is myself, Awadua Gunderson, Senior Business Development Manager at the University of Cambridge Online. And just to introduce you to the University of Cambridge Online, we are a new department under the umbrella of the University of Cambridge. We create high-impact online courses that respond to the challenges facing today's professionals, teams, and institutions. As part of the wider university, we benefit from access to world-leading research and faculty. We draw on the fact that we are ranked #1 in research and in business impact, in global innovation, and in enterprise. But everything we do is designed with flexibility, accessibility, and professional application in mind. Within our Cambridge Centers of Excellence, we focus on 4 big themes, which we often call the impact economies. They are sustainability, environment and policy, technology and data, business and entrepreneurship, healthcare and life sciences. These areas where the University of Cambridge has global recognition, both academically and through applied research. They're also areas where we see significant demand for upskilling and for strategic investment across sectors. In terms of sustainability, for example, we draw on the fact that we have 13 centers of excellence in sustainability, including CISL. In technology and data, we host the world's largest AI machines, and we provide leading education in AI and in big data. And in business, we have 10 specialized centers, including the Judge Business School, Cambridge Enterprise, and the Institute of Manufacturing. One of the things that makes the University of Cambridge Online quite unique is how we bring together different departments across the university to build each course. So rather than working only with the business school, for example, or just the faculty of engineering, we draw from across disciplines to create learning that reflects how problems are actually solved in the real world. And this is the list of our courses within the technology. We have data-driven design for customer experience, human-computer interaction for AI systems design, product technology road mapping, managing software architecture, leveraging business data, advanced customer analytics, strategic and predictive insight. And we have a range of online learning options. We offer courses that are as short as 6 hours for foundational knowledge and for scaled upskilling. And we have up to advanced courses that are 6 to 8 weeks for mid-senior managers, and all the way to our bespoke programs that are designed for your organizational need. We work with learners in many different contexts as well. So we work with professionals looking to upskill or to reskill. We work with universities who want to embed career relevant content alongside degree programs. And we work with organizations and governments that are seeking workforce wide capability building, whether it is for the public or the private sector. We have also partnered with leading industry voices and worked alongside professional bodies and associations to ensure that our programs meet the highest professional standards. And those are some of the bodies that we've partnered with. And now moving to our panelists to know more about the road mapping for strategic alignment.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. In the next 30 minutes, together with my colleague Imoh, we'll be providing you with an overview of road mapping, including its practical application, which is the focus for the CAO course we're describing. Now, there's a formal definition on the left here, but as a structured visual technique, roadmaps speak for themselves, I think. In terms of structure, firstly, all roadmaps should include time as an explicit dimension, looking forward into the future. And in this sketch, you can see three different layers or perspectives that have to be aligned for successful innovation. Now, if you look at the internet for examples of roadmaps, you'll often see quite polished diagrams. I'm showing this sketch for a reason, and that's because the process of road mapping is where a lot of the value lies, where you're using the roadmap to support conversations across different functions in the business, focusing on improving the quality of decisions. Here's a couple of examples. Company examples are actually quite rare because they're very confidential. These two have been published, although the one on the left in the slightly redacted format. You don't need to see the details to understand the point of these diagrams. The one on the left is a very detailed map used for internal strategy and communication in the business. So you're very unlikely to see a copy of this in real life. It's a very large chart put on the wall in the program development office. So everyone in the company is aware how their piece of the jigsaw fits into the bigger picture. The one on the right is to communicate externally to potential investors for the firm. This is Tokamak Energy, based south of Oxford. It's a tech startup focusing on fusion power. And of course, they need a lot of investment and have customized a simplified communication roadmap for that purpose. Now, what makes road mapping so flexible is the underlying architecture or structure is based on some very fundamental questions. And if you can answer these questions, you have a coherent strategy. Now, the horizontal axis by convention represents time. When do we need to act? And then all roadmaps really should combine three broad layers. The top layer by convention addresses the question of why do we need to act? What are the needs and problems? What benefits do we seek? The middle of the roadmap is the more pragmatic, tangible question of what should we do? What kind of product? What kind of service? What sort of functionality and performance is needed to address those needs? And the lowest layer addresses the fundamental question of how can we do it? The sort of knowledge, resources, technology that need to be marshaled in order to develop the products and services for the markets of the future. In terms of process, the definition of road mapping is slightly more challenging in a way because it's not just as simple as the process of developing a roadmap, because you can use that underlying structure of roadmaps to address many other challenges in the business. And often road mapping is used for diagnostic and problem-solving purposes. The most effective way of thinking about it is to consider road mapping as a service to core business processes, typically strategy and innovation, or any other business process that has a strategic dimension. And then road mapping is really about the maintenance of the information in support of those processes. And there's no confusion between what is road mapping and what is strategy. Because roadmaps represent strategic plans, it's quite easy to confuse them with the actual strategic planning process that the roadmap is supporting. And the boundaries of road mapping and the scope can be a little bit confusing sometimes. I really like this strategy or innovation process. It originates from Philips because it gives equal weight to the market pull, the steps 1 and 2 at the top, and the technology push, which is the steps 1B and 2B at the bottom. And whether you weight it towards the top or the bottom is really up to you and depends on context. And the primary foreground function of road mapping is in a box, which connects all of that front-end thinking and converts it into targets and plans and proposals. But there's a more interesting background function, which allows for integration of all of the information across this process and the various tools to make sure you have an integrated process. So the structure of the roadmap is fundamental to that because the units of analysis defined by the structure should be used throughout the toolkit and process. Now, road mapping was developed a long time ago in the 1960s in the USA, as far as we understand it, with academic groups becoming interested in the technique in the 1990s. We were one of the first 3. And one of our long-term research goals was to establish the general form of road mapping. It's clearly a very flexible technique, but what are the underlying principles that are universally applicable? And the way we did this was through a variety of application by looking for as many different strategic contexts as we could to experiment with the technique in a practical setting. And the diagram on the right here just illustrates that. The vertical axis is hierarchy. So we've worked in entire sectors or nation at that level, right down to companies and individual products down at the bottom there. And on the left-hand side, in very exploratory contexts, radical innovation, early pre-commercial research and development, to the right-hand side, which is very focused on tangible targets, a more convergent context, and everything in between. More than 500 cases over the years, and just 9 typical ones shown here in that space with the 2 dimensions. Now, in practice, in road mapping, you might have some quantitative analysis and modeling, of course, that would feed data into the roadmap. But also, it's very important to understand there's lots of qualitative information. And this is often associated with the opinions of experts and key stakeholders in the organization or network. We've tended to focus on that side because often that is where conflicts and misalignment occur and different perceptions between, say, marketing and technology. This particular photographs are from a reference process we call S-Plan, which is typically applied at the entire business unit or corporate level or sector level. Imoh will talk about another reference process called T-Plan in a few minutes. And we've spent a lot of time squeezing this process down into a day because people will give you a day of their time. And if they like what they see, they'll join you on a longer journey. And it's pretty amazing what you can achieve in a day if you can get the right people together. This particular photograph was for an innovation strategy event for an entire company. We had about 25 people in the room representing all the key functions. And the first photograph was the morning activity where we were trying to share all of our knowledge, all the expertise in the room into a common structure, and you can see on the left-hand side, you can't read the detail, but that's the structure we customized for this company. Those little orange arrows are pointing at innovation opportunities. And in the afternoon, we broke into small multifunctional teams to develop exploratory roadmaps for the ideas identified, roughly 8 of them. And after this one-day workshop, 4 of them were taken forward into the company for further investigation. What we found is if a better designed template for these workshops leads to better results. More efficient, more consistent, and more achievements, really. You can download these templates for free from our website there. The one on the left is from S-Plan. We use that a lot for general exploration of innovations. The one on the right is a compressed form of the T-Plan process, which Imoh will describe in more detail. The key design principles we apply in these templates are to try to embody the knowledge a facilitator would have into the template itself to enable people to use the template with minimum support, often none at all. And so we sequence the default steps, is highlighted in green, and everything in gray provides guidance that's not prescriptive to prompt discussion and thinking in the group work. And finally, I'm just going to share two practical examples that are kind of comparable in a sense, in terms of a different process logic for each of them, but both firms are of similar large size, about $10 billion businesses, global companies. So the first one was in the packaging sector, and it's what I'd call a sequential application of road mapping across a corporation, perhaps the most common approach. And the trigger for this project was a misalignment between the central research. They had a very good central research lab and business units around the world. They were taxed to fund the research group, but they were a bit unsatisfied because they didn't see a constant conveyor belt of useful technologies emerging. But equally, there was frustration in the central research group because the business units weren't providing long-term direction, which is necessary for technology development, which can take quite a while. So they saw that maybe road mapping could help reduce this misalignment and conflict. And starting with one pilot in a business unit, they rolled out the process over the entire company. It took about 18 months. I helped them with a couple of the workshops, and then they picked up the technique and ran with it. And after 18 months, they could really see the full picture. And they totally reconfigured their research program to be about 80% aligned with direct business needs, with the rest, the 20% for longer term blue sky research, the future of the company. And the other example, a similar size company, but a first-tier supplier in the automotive and aerospace sector. And this just illustrates what can be done in a parallel process, concurrent process compared to the sequential example previously. Now, you have to be pretty brave to do this, to do the whole company in one go. But we had worked with a couple of the business units in the past, and the group strategy director asked us if we could cover the entire corporation in one go. We said we'd be keen to have a go. It was a very complex workshop lasting a couple of days with 8 facilitators, 4 from Institute for Manufacturing and 4 from the company, each division, to learn how the technique worked. And the key point of doing it in one go was we could find opportunities that could only be developed by collaboration between the divisions. Now, in the previous example, this was only clear after 18 months, but we could find those opportunities right from the start here. And there was about 30, 35 opportunities explored, some of which were division specific and some cross-divisional. And I spoke to some people from the company about 2 or 3 years later, and they said that at least 3 totally new businesses emerged from this process that were sitting at the boundaries between those divisions that could easily fall between the cracks. And so that's what can be done, although, as I said, you'd be pretty brave to try that without some proving the method works in some business units before leaping into the deep water. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Imoh, who will talk about some practical experience from IFM Engage.
Thank you, Rob. Good morning, everyone. Really pleased to be here. Before I get into the slides, I just want to remind you that if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to use the Q&A function, whether about what I talked about earlier, Rob covered, or what I'm about to cover. So please do not hesitate. Right, so yes, in addition to the case studies that Rob shared, I'm going to present a couple other case studies. And these case studies are, they reflect a second type of process, reference process that we follow, which we call T-plan. This process is primarily used for what we call technology road mapping, although I think it's fine just to say road mapping. But when we say technology road mapping, usually we're dealing with a technical system. It could be a product, it could be a service process, maybe a manufacturing process. And essentially, you want to plan strategically what you need to do regarding the design, development, and deployment of such product, services, or processes. So as you would have in any road mapping process, there is usually as you can see on the left-hand side of this slide, there's usually quite a lot of work in planning and scoping the road mapping engagement and ensuring that it's clear exactly what is required from the roadmaps, who's going to use the roadmaps, what do they want from the roadmaps, what sort of information are they planning to take from the roadmaps and feed into other decision-making processes. So all of that is required regardless of the type of road mapping you're doing. And of course, there are other things regarding logistics and so on, making sure you have the right participants. But really at the heart of the T-plan technology road mapping, technology road mapping process, which is the main focus of the course on Cambridge Advanced Online. At the heart of that process are the workshops where we bring together the key experts, usually from within the organization, who are working within and around the product, process, service, whatever it is that needs to be developed. Usually you draw from different functions for this. And therefore, one of the key benefits of road mapping is bringing together people who might be working in silos, but bringing them together to discuss and clarify together what needs to be created within that organization by way of a product and so on. So the first workshop focuses on understanding the market and also aligning that to the understanding of what the business needs. So if you're creating a new product or service, yes, you are trying to meet some market needs, but also you're trying to achieve some things for your business. And the best thing that you could get is an alignment of those two streams of needs, where the market needs and your business needs are pointing in exactly the same direction. We try to clarify those in the first workshop, understand what the priorities are, understand what the real market needs are, the customers' needs, what they want from your product or your service or whatever it is, and also understanding what are the key business drivers and other things, of course. Now you go into the second workshop and you're trying to clarify the features of that technical system. Remember, it could be a product, it could be a service, it could be a process, or it could be a combination of those things. What are the features of that system that will meet those needs that you've already identified, say, in the first workshop? And again, to say, I should clarify that when we talk about a product, it doesn't have to be a tangible, hard product. It could be software. We've done this for software. We've done this for widgets. We've done this for manufacturing processes and so on. Then in the third workshop, you're trying to clarify what are the technology solutions, what are the things around new technologies, R&D, capabilities, resources that you'd require to deliver the system that you need to create. Okay, and then the fourth workshop would be the alignment of all these things. Alignment over time, alignment in terms of sequence and logic. Are there certain features that need to be developed first? And how do you combine and integrate those features to meet certain milestones for market delivery and so on? So the charting is really important, and it is during the charting that you also get a chance to negotiate between for the different functions in the organization to negotiate between themselves. Because usually people on the commercial side and marketing want things to be delivered quicker than maybe what the R&D and product development guys can do. So there's a need for compromise and alignment as a group, as the organization, collectively, or as the team to say, okay, this is what we have agreed, this is how we're going to proceed, and these are the targets we're going to meet. So that's the essence of or what's at the heart of the road mapping process. And of course, post the workshops, there's always an opportunity to clarify, refine, communicate the outputs to the key stakeholders who will be using the roadmaps or who will be learning or using the roadmaps to understand what's going on. Next slide, please. All right, so a couple of examples. I'll start with this one. This is a company that we've worked with and we've continued to work with. The first few instances of work we did with them, and a large multinational company that does a lot of work in PPE, we focused on creating a roadmap for a family of products that were being developed and sold. And one of the challenges, or a couple of the challenges you can see there on the screen, is really around the alignment between the different teams in the organization, clarity on what needs to be created, when to create it, and how to fit it into the market, ensuring that there was a link between what I talked about earlier, the customer and the business needs, and ensuring that everyone knew what needed to be done and everyone had clarity regarding their role and ownership. All right, so we're very pleased to say that the company reported back to us 2.5 years since when we created the roadmap, that the roadmap actually led to new product sales, because the roadmap was focusing on new products. I think it was a 5 to 7 year roadmap. And 3 years after we had created the roadmap, they were able to report over $100 million of new product sales from that roadmap. And that really stemmed from having that coherent strategy to give them confidence to move forward for their product launches. So we know these processes work. We have tangible examples of them working, and we are quite confident that with the right preparation, you can replicate the same things in your organizations. The other case study here is regarding a manufacturing process. This is a healthcare-based company or medical device company based in the US that we did some work with. And for them, it was really about, there was an opportunity in the market. The market was growing. They were doing very well, but they were constrained in terms of capacity, manufacturing capacity. So really, it was about how do we expand our manufacturing facilities in such a way that they deliver the new products and the future products that we think the market needs. So we had two things to tackle, actually. What are those new products, but also how do you manufacture those products in a more efficient way with more up-to-date technology that can then deliver to the volumes that are expected the market will need. So again, the road mapping process went step by step as described. I think we made a few tweaks to bring in the manufacturing process dimension into it. But overall, they were able to have the confidence needed. Sometimes in your organizations, you sort of have a sense of what you want to do, but then you need to lay things out logically, spell things out, and so that you're able to communicate back to key stakeholders, perhaps those who are holding the purse strings, to say, here's what we need, this is why we need it, and this is how we're going to do it. And the process we ran with this company gave them confidence to put forward the case to then invest over $10 million in a new manufacturing setup. So again, it depends on your needs for the road mapping, but really at the heart of our road mapping process are clarity, logic, ensuring that there is a clear rationale for investment, but also being able to communicate that to key stakeholders. Those are things that you can get through road mapping. So this is just a snapshot of what that roadmap looked like. It is redacted, it is truncated, it's a lot more dense, it's a lot denser than what you can see on the screen. But the sort of flows of information, knowledge, what to do, the key milestones, which you can see towards the top of this picture. A lot of this information, of course, as I said, is redacted, but this is real sort of these are lines or swim lanes or layers of information that were pulled from the actual roadmap we created for the medical device company I just described. So, who are we? We are myself and Rob and other colleagues that deliver the road mapping course through Cambridge Advanced Online are actually based at the Institute for Manufacturing, which is part of the engineering department at the University of Cambridge. We have one of 6 divisions, and our focus is on manufacturing and management. Within the IFM itself, we have a knowledge dissemination arm or company called IFM Engage, and it is through this company that we do a lot of our commercial engagement and collaborations with industry. And we tend to work stepwise with our partners, I like to call them rather than clients, because we fashion the solutions together. We fashion the steps, the actual application of road mapping, which is one of a lot of other things we do. We fashion these things together. So we really pride ourselves in collaboration, in transferring knowledge, in ensuring that our partners have the tools to continue carrying out these sort of activities. And again, remember, road mapping is only one of many. But for example, in road mapping, equipping them with the right tools and the knowledge to do this by themselves. So again, if you have questions around IFM Engage as part of your questions for this webinar, please put them in the Q&A. But yeah, include your other questions as well. So just to tell you a little bit more about it, on the left-hand side there, you would see three hexagons. At the heart of everything we do is research. All the practice that we end up doing with industry is based on research. The road mapping work that we do is based on decades of research led by Rob and other colleagues along the way. I myself did my research at my doctorate at IFM, majoring on innovation strategy through road mapping. So at the heart of what we do is research. And so we have that confidence that whatever is coming out of us in collaboration with other partners is quality. Coupled with the research is education. And of course, I've spoken about practice, which extends back also into the research, because a lot of what we do is applied research. Now, we use this knowledge in working with industry, people like yourselves on this call, government agencies, and in fact, other universities across the world. And we do this globally. So we're really pleased about this. But if you notice, as the arrow leading back, we also want to learn from these entities to further our research, to strengthen our research and continue to deliver the good work. So I more or less have covered this already. We really want to support and equip through knowledge transfer. We work with you to generate solutions, and we do maximize opportunities for knowledge and capability transfer. The key thing to say is that this consultancy is not a typical consultancy. We are, for all intents and purposes, not for profit, in the sense that all the profit that we make is gifted back to the university to further fund research. So that sort of sets us apart a bit, but at the heart of what we do really is the collaboration and knowledge transfer.
Well, thanks to our panelists for the valuable information that we've had. And as you've seen, we work closely with Cambridge academics and our in-house learning design team to create courses that balance deep research with real-world application. Everything is built with professional impact in mind, from interactive content to assignments that are genuinely useful, like risk assessments or strategy plans that learners can take straight into their roles. Now, understanding the impact of training is essential, not just during the course, but long after it ends. Through our platform and frameworks like the LTEM, we can track everything from engagement and knowledge gain to how learners apply what they have learned in real-world scenarios. But most importantly, we look at longer-term behavioral change and how it drives value across your teams and your organizations. Our platform is user-friendly and with integrated tools as well that helps with reporting and analytics. We also offer opportunities for personalizations and co-branding. Now, upon completion, learners would receive a certificate of completion or achievement, depends on the type of the assessment and type of course, as well as the digital badge. And we can also offer the co-branding opportunities within the certificates as well. And when we work in partnership, we think more just about the course delivery. We co-design experiences. We align the content with your internal priorities. We also integrate with your systems where needed, and we support everything from tutor training to impact evaluation. This collaborative approach ensures the programs not only fit your learners, but it fits your strategy as well. And in order for it to fit your strategy, we know that each organization is different. And for their learner needs, they're also different. That's why our pricing model is designed to be transparent, flexible, and scalable as well. For example, for group enrollments, we offer discounts and volume-based pricing. And for enterprise clients, we have licensing models that allow scalable access across teams and geographies. And for organizations that are looking to build something more bespoke, we'll work closely with you to create customized solution with pricing aligned with your goals, with your timelines, and with your complexity as well. We're also offering a discount for all the attendees of the webinar, so please stay until the end. Now, as we have all the information, what are the next steps? So if you wish to book online, please scan the QR code and you'll be able to book online, whether for yourself or for your team members in your organization. I will leave it for a couple of seconds for you to scan it. And now, if you haven't already, please use the Q&A section to send your questions about this course. And now we will start answering them live.
So Imoh and I have answered a few questions via the text boxes, but there's some others listed.
Start. So one question, yeah. So, all right, so I can read the question. So I'm a
okay, you
student
go
in
ahead and
Scotland.
read the questions, and we decide who to take. Answer them.
Excellent.
Yes.
So I'm a student in Scotland studying business management, third year. Can I take this course?
So maybe it's a question you also would like to say something about, but from our point of view, yes, there's no reason why you can't take the course. We've got students and professionals taking it. But I wonder whether your question is more of, from a point of view of the fees, but would you like to say something about that?
So basically, if you're talking about prerequisite requirement, we advise that you would have a 7.0 IELTS score so that you can follow up with the material. But we don't have any prerequisite degree requirement for the course. So yes, you can take the course. All right, we do have another question. What kind of strategies should we consider on building a strong commitment with the company on road mapping developing? Do you use task manuals for the company before, during, or after road mapping? Any suggestions on clear communication channels with the company? We are developing roadmaps.
I'm happy to take this one, but Rob, please feel free to add to it. So when we create roadmaps, one of the most important stakeholders, I think, that we need to get clarity on very early on is who is going to own the roadmap, because whoever owns the roadmap will drive the roadmap's eventual application or the manner in which it's going to be used. So clarity on that, and then of course them having commitment either from senior management or whoever the sponsor is also critical, because with such senior management support, it's more likely that people who are required for the process will carve out time, usually out of their busy schedules, and also be part of the implementation effort. So that on one hand, regarding task manuals, perhaps it's something related to being clear on whoever is going to take things forward. We'd like for that to come out of the road mapping processes, and the most effective road mapping work I've done, usually you end with who's going to do what, who's going to take things forward, who's going to clarify knowledge gaps, and so on. So clear communication channels are really crucial. And we do have colleagues who have added some modules to our road mapping work, which involve stakeholder identification and management. So not just the why, what, how, but also the who is actually going to take things forward. If they are outside your immediate control of the organization, in case you will need to collaborate with people from outside, how do you start to engage these people, and how do you make sure that they are along the lines of your vision and they are helping push your vision forward regarding the roadmap? So there are different ways to look at this, but I'll stop now. And Rob, perhaps you'd like to say a few things about
I think
that.
so. Just picking up the question from Bhavin Vaida 2 down, because it's related. It's how to the effective way of first securing stakeholder buy-in. One of our principles right from the beginning was, I guess, in response to a perception that road mapping was a heavy-duty technique for large corporations, was how quickly can you take the first step? And we found that that makes it more accessible for smaller companies, but big companies also don't want to commit to a large process without being clear about the outcomes. So we call these workshop methods fast start. We spent a lot of time working out how quickly can you turn the handle once on the process and get a useful result. Quite often that first step is designed to solve some problems that are prominent in people's minds at the time, although there may be longer term goals as well. That first step has to generate direct business benefit to the company and also to everyone involved. So we make sure that these workshops are stimulating and engaging for participants, and we get feedback from everyone from that. Because if people enjoy that first step and find it useful, they'll be prepared to take the second step. So that's a key thing for really getting buy-in, is that you're not asking a lot without people being clear of what they can get in return.
Brilliant, thank you. Moving to another question, another interesting question. Product life cycles become shorter and shorter, putting more pressure downstream. How do you address the function time in your process, and how will you control resources to balance this NPI, NPD cycle with your process in mind?
Shall I have a stab at that? I think it follows on from what I was saying earlier about making sure that the cycle time is as quick as possible. No sort of bloat in the system, because if your strategy cycle time is quick enough, then it's basically you can address all of the issues faster than the actual process is playing out. Now, in software, which is the fastest moving technology, agile methods are very common because you just can't wait months and years for one strategy cycle. It's got to be done in hours and days maximum. And so that's a key thing, even in hardware, I think, where road mapping has its origins, is you don't want the strategy cycle to be slow. Now, the time frame in which resources are allocated in your innovations has its own time frame, but at least you can consider that from a viewpoint which isn't slower than the systems you're working on. So that's everything really. Agile approaches, quick cycles, and then you can always scale it up as required, but the challenge is scaling it down, and we spend a lot of time working out how to do these things really quickly.
Absolutely brilliant. So we have two related questions as I can see. So how can tech guys push for initiatives that business guys may not be able to see? And any practical tips on how to engage business leaders to engage in technology road mapping? Typically, I experience massive oversimplification the solutions, and which results in lack of understanding of technology development resource and time needs, but especially lack of interest in engaging in road mapping activities.
Okay, I'll try to answer this one. I think again these are related questions. As part of the road mapping process, we do certain bits of analysis. So, for example, talking about the tech people who maybe have certain solutions in mind, and there is a certain level of sophistication that's required to think through and develop and apply those solutions. Those are some of the things that we think through in the third workshop, in the technology workshop, because you need to, first of all, point to the features you need to develop, and then try to break down how you're going to develop them according to technology solutions. Some of the things that we also would consider doing is one of the things that we definitely will do is link back how the technology solutions address the product features, and link how the product features are meeting market needs and demands. And therefore that communication or that understanding becomes clearer. The tech people are more easily able to communicate to the business and commercially minded people why certain solutions need to be developed. In this fourth workshop, other things that you could do include, as part of the analysis, include actually showing the interconnectedness between the different technology solutions, because usually one technology solution might affect another one or how you implement it. So there are opportunities for such analysis. But in the fourth workshop, where you have to do the charting and where we start specifying, actually, okay, if you're going to develop that solution, how long is it going to take? How many people, or how much time is it going to take? And that can move your roadmap milestones one way or the other. So for example, as I said before, if the commercial people want the solution in 3 months, but tech actually, with the resources you have, you won't be able to deliver it for the next until maybe 6 months, then it becomes clear on the roadmap, right? And therefore you have the ammunition to go and ask, okay, if you really want this thing in 3 months, I need more people. Or if you're going to leave me with the resources I have, then we have to find a way that it still makes sense to deliver this in 6 months. So it's a real opportunity. There's an example that we didn't share, but a case of developing an autonomous vehicle. And this product manager was tasked with level 5 autonomy in about 3 or 4 years. Everyone knew it was going to be difficult, but through the road mapping, he had the ammunition to go back to senior management and say, hey, it's not going to happen if you don't give me the resources I need. So those are some of the things that the roadmap in hand will help you communicate to people that matter.
Brilliant. I think those were the questions for today. Thank you so much.
We might have, I think, a few other questions, but we might have run out of time.
Yes.
I'm conscious of that. But yeah, someone asked if we could share an example. I'm not sure if we have time. Just there's a slide, I think.
Yep.
Final slide that I can quickly talk through, if that's okay.
It's the last slide, slide 45.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do we have it? If not, then I'll just send it. If a person can get in touch by email, then I'll send it to you and add a few lines of commentary to describe it. But it's an example that we cover in the course. So yeah, you'll be able to get the full gist of it during the course.
Absolutely. Okay. Can we move to the next slide, please? So yeah, I would love to connect with you. And if you have any further questions or would you like to discuss group discounts, on the screen, you will find a link to book an appointment. And this link will be shared in a follow-up email after the webinar, or you can just simply scan the QR code to book an appointment with me. You can also contact me via email at awa.dua-gunderson@cambridge.org. And course enrollments can be done online, where you can pay by card or request a quotation. Thank you for joining today's session, and apologies if we didn't have time to answer all your questions today. As a reminder, there will be a short survey when you exit the webinar, which will give you the opportunity to ask a question if you haven't already. And please take a couple of moments to provide us with some feedback. Look out for the follow-up email later this week, in which we will share the recording of the webinar and some of the useful links that have been mentioned today. Thanks, everyone, and have a good rest of the day.